Okay, so I've got the basics set out for my measurements in plan with the reference planes, and now I can simply go and use the wall tool to put in all of the existing walls. And so this is where you just want to take your time when you're first setting up things like this, and just see where you can put things or settings into Revit that are going to give you what you want, especially things like existing walls. Now, in the brief, I've left them grey just so that it's a bit easier for you to read the dimensions. But what colour do you think they should be normally, if it's existing? What hatch do you use for existing elements? You must have seen a floor plan with existing. I know, because I showed you one earlier. Yeah, it's a certain type of hatch you would have all done. Solid. Seen solid black? Okay, so when you see solid black on a drawing, that means it's existing. And that's really important. You've got to do that for construction you'll see later. And just think about the sort of work you'll be doing. For decoration, almost every job will involve existing elements. In fact, I can't think of one that wouldn't. And so you're going to draw most of those things with this style, with basically a thin line and a black hatch. And then you only show material hatches for new things. And okay, so here, there's a wall type already set called double brick 270. That's showing the cavity. You can see already in the picture there. So even if it was this kind of wall, I wouldn't use that wall type because I don't want to see the cavity and the hatch pattern. I just want to see a nice black fill. So I'm going to start with one of the generic wall types. It doesn't matter which, any of those three. Yeah, oh yeah, I'm going to make, oh so yeah, so we'll use generic 300, but I've got to change the settings anyway. So it doesn't matter which one you begin with. I'm going to go to edit type and then duplicate. So if you missed that, I know you probably haven't done a lot with this option yet, but it comes up anytime if I start again with the wall tool. You can then just go to the wall type you want to start with. Again, generic 300 this time, and then edit type will let you change that wall type. So it might sound like a funny term, but you use that option all the time. Edit type comes up for most of the objects in Revit. So I don't want to use this name. I want to give a new name to my wall. So I'm going to click duplicate. And I'm going to call it existing 300 millimeter. Could say wall. I know it's a wall, so I don't have to, but if you want to, you can put that in. Now, actually, it's good that it's 300 because if it's not the right size, you've got to click edit next to structure there, and you can change the thickness. 300 is, so you need to be drawing a wall in the first place. And you haven't got the properties, yeah, so you are drawing a wall, you've got to have the properties window open, so don't close that. So just type PP on the keyboard, PP, yep, and then leave that open. You can see it on the left there, properties. Yep. Okay, so I'm just going to click OK, and I can see there again my width. If you're not sure, you can always double check there, but you can't change it there. And so then, how would you think you'd get the black fill that I was talking about? Using material? Well, if you're thinking materials, you're thinking the right way. Don't know if you've had a look at this, but we've briefly looked at it, but you maybe haven't gone through all of these. You can see there we've got all these different materials we can assign to the wall. So that is often the first thing you do if you want to change the appearance of your wall. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to cancel this. I just wanted to make sure you know about materials first before I do something different, which is to use this option, coarse scale fill pattern, coarse scale fill color. Sounds like one of those obscure technical things until you see what it does. Just lets you set an extra pattern. Okay, so solid fill is the pattern. I don't need to change that, but I'm going to click on the color swatch, that it's grey, and just make that black. That's it, so that's going to give me black existing wall. If I click OK, now I can draw around the outside with, the height first set to ceiling, and the location line Well, I'll test to see whether you're understanding this. Which of those do you think I would use based on the measurements that I've used with my reference planes? So when I was setting out my reference planes, was I using exterior measurements or interior measurements? Was I? Interior, yeah. That's what I did. So that's, there's, so exactly, in this case, finish face interior. Okay, because these reference planes all represent the inside face of our walls. We've got the walls going outside those reference planes. So it's again, finish face interior, if you're working with interior measurements, but we still need to draw clockwise, so starting on the intersection. Do you know the warning sign that will tell you you're not drawing clockwise? I'll just show you. Can you see how, if I go this way, the wall goes outside the reference plane? So I can go all the way around and the wall's going to be towards the outside of that set out. But if I go down this way, notice how the wall goes inside. And you might think, well, why didn't they just make it go outside every time? And they could have, but there's a good reason they didn't. Why would you want to do it this way? There's a good reason, if you've got a courtyard. So in this situation, it could be really useful. Yeah, well, no, it's mainly so that you can have things on the outer face that are inside the building, if that makes sense. So courtyard's the classic example. So I'll just show you a little option key. If you realise you're drawing the wrong way, or the wall is going on the wrong side, you can always flip it while you're drawing using the spacebar. And it tells you these things. If you're wondering how to remember all these little tips, you often don't need to, as long as you remember where to look. And you can see down here, it actually tells you the whole time. So a bit like AutoCAD with the command prompt, keep an eye on that little grey bar there, that's your status bar, and that'll prompt you all the time for lots of different things that you can do. So again here, it's telling me space flips orientation. Okay. Flip it back and forth as I need to. So I'll just leave it at that. There's a bit more to it, but I'll talk to you about the other things later. So I'm just going to draw my walls. Notice how straight away I get a black hatch.
Can you retrospectively change that?
Absolutely. Absolutely, yeah. So that's what I was talking about before. If you've got a wall, just select it, edit type, change the colour, and not if you've made one for that. If you haven't made one already, then you will, yeah. Yeah, if you just use generic 300, yeah, just duplicate it first, yeah. Okay, so I've got the basics set out for the exterior walls, and even more quickly I'm going to draw the other walls along the space. Now here's a good example. I'm drawing the wall that's between the bathing space and the courtyard. I'm using finish face interior because this is the inside face of my building. Right, so that's inside, this is outside. Now I'm using finish face interior, that should work, right, because the inside face of my wall should sit on that line that I'm drawing with, but the wall's going the wrong way. So the wall's going above the reference plane, I want it going below. If you're wondering why, it's because I'm drawing anti-clockwise. So what do? I don't change the location line. So again, I'm going to spend more time explaining this later. Once you've used it a bit more, it'll make more sense. But essentially, when you're trying to work it out, don't try to think of this as justification. Think of it as the construction. So whether you're drawing on the interior side or the exterior side of your building, and if the wall goes the wrong way, use spacebar to flip it. So again, it's one of those things that will make a lot more sense when you've done it a few times, but essentially Revit needs to know which is the inside and which is the outside when it does windows and doors and things like that. It does know which is which side of the wall. Between the courtyard and the bathing space, yeah. So it's got to know this is the exterior and this is the interior on the top. So when I do the next wall, going down here, doesn't matter. That's an interior wall. It does still have an exterior side and interior side technically, but it doesn't matter which way it goes. No. Yeah, exactly, yeah. So those are the main walls. Then you could do a bit of tidying up if you need to bring this wall down. These are all things I'm sure you can work out, because obviously this kitchen extends beyond. Doesn't matter how much you extend beyond this wall here. You're going to cut off the drawing anyway, somewhere along there. Okay, so I've got the main walls. We'll go and have a quick look in the 3D view. Just click on the house, of course, to make your default view. So I can orbit there without too much trouble. And maybe just as a final thing, I'll put in a very basic floor using the same option to reinforce it a bit. I'm not going to do the basing space or even the courtyard just yet. I'm going to do the kitchen. So the kitchen floor should be at the height of the ground floor. I'm going to open up the ground floor floor plan, click on the floor tool, and again, I'm going to go to Edit Type, just like the wall, duplicate, and we'll call it Existing we're going to change it, but let's say 200 mil for now. And this time, it's got the colour I want, but not the pattern. So it's all good practice. If I click there, I can just browse, find solid fill. Notice the hatch patterns look a lot like AutoCAD. And yeah, so solid fill's the one I want though. That's it. Now I can just pick those 3 walls. I'm going to draw a line over here to finish that off and trim so that I've got a rectangle inside the walls. So, oh yeah, so above that you've got the empty slot just above the colour. Yeah. Yep. So I just click on the blue bit again, and the empty bit, and then click on the button at the end, and you'll get the list, and you can find solid if you scroll down. Okay, so I've done my floor. I'm just going to click tick to finish and show you the section. Okay, because there you can't see the cut pattern, and this might make it a bit clearer why I did it the way I did. Okay, and a couple of things to fix, that's good. So, this is good. So I've got the floor there being cut in section. Again, nice black pattern. Now, you might be thinking, why do they not just say it's the colour or the fill? We go to Edit Type, it's this coarse scale fill pattern. And it's because, like I said, that's like an extra material that only comes up with this coarse option turned on. So if you've got fine selected there, it goes away. But it works really well for existing elements, so that's all I'll say about it. But again, we'll spend more time on those things later. Just make sure you know about that option. And so what's the other major issue I've got there with my heights? So I'll change it to 1 to 50 so you can see the text just like I did with the elevation. Where should my walls be going down to? Exactly. So I've got to extend all of the walls down to the courtyard. Not a problem. Okay, so like a lot of things in Revit, it's easy to fix things after you've made them, often easier than drawing them in the first place. So I've gone back to the 3D view. I'm going to click and drag to select everything with a window. But this time I'm going to click on the filter button up on the ribbon so that I can turn floors off, and then I've just got all the walls. And now, in properties, you can see it's got ground floor as the base constraint. I'm simply going to change that to courtyard, and that'll extend all the walls down, and you can see there pretty clearly that they go down below the floor, so we know they're extending to that level. Okay, so that's a good basic setup. I'll see how you're going with that, and then we can have a look at the openings, which would be the next thing you'd probably want to think about. Have a look at the different openings that you've got shown there. I'll go over that in the next video.